Hey everybody, so in this video I'll be talking about two types of teaching method. One is the linear pedagogy and the other one's a non-linear pedagogy. So let's start off with the first one, a linear pedagogy. Linear pedagogy is a type of teaching method where it follows a structure and it's a step-by-step approach where each lesson gets much more difficult as you progress. So in this teaching method, as a coach, you have to revisit what kind of skill that you want to teach your students, and then from there you have to break down the skill into a simpler step and follow that step so that eventually your students will be able to get to be able to execute the skill that you want them to do. So this teaching method you often see in schools. For example, in a math lesson, where usually the first lesson they will teach you how to do a simple additions, subtractions, and then afterwards they will teach you something a bit more difficult, such as multiplying and division. And then as you progress, you will learn how to do equations, where there is a mixture of plus and minus, or even plus and division, or plus, minus, and division. So this method is quite described as a old style, and also it is described as a one-fits-all method, where the teachers, or for us the coach, okay, we will have to break down the skill into smaller parts and arrange them into a logical sequence. And in this teaching method, students will be able to learn at the same pace. So it is a much more teacher centered, where the teacher will have to play a central role in delivering instructions as well as guiding the students. So one good thing about this learning style is that it is much more structured and organized. So students will be able to have a clear direction of how they can learn the skills and progressively improve in the skill. However, the bad thing about this teaching method is that it does not take into consideration of the individual needs. So as you know, different people might have a different learning pace, or might have different capabilities. So this teaching method, it assumes that all the students would progress in an orderly manner from one level to next. So there is the one downside, and the other one is that it does not offer any room of creativity and initiative, which the non-linear pedagogy offers. So now we're going to talk about what is the non-linear pedagogy. Okay, now on to the non-linear pedagogy. The non-linear pedagogy is a more experiential method when you conduct your teaching. So unlike the linear pedagogy, for this method there is no fixed structure where it will be the same for everyone. So think of it like this: instead of teaching them how to, or giving them the answer of how to dribble the ball, instead you give them the ball and ask them to explore on how they can dribble the ball from one end to the other end without touching the ball and only using the leg. So you give them the problems and allow them to experiment with different type of techniques, how they can dribble the ball. So this teaching method is more learner-centered, where the student takes more active role in exploring and discovering the solution. As the coach or a teacher, you are to guide them and facilitate their exploration. Okay, the good thing about this teaching method is that it's very flexible, and also it can promote a growth mindset to the students, as well as create a playful environment, especially when they can get very creative with what they can do. However, the downside is that due to the lack of the structure, some students might find it messy or very unstructured. So when they're learning, they might not progress that efficient, and because of that, it would eventually take longer time for them to achieve their goal. So yeah.